Oh, yes, I heard that. Well then, if, like us, your excellency lived at Leghorn, you would hear from time to time that a little merchant vessel or an English yacht that was expected at Bastia, at Porto-Ferrajo, or at Civita Vecchia has not arrived. No one knows what has become of it, but doubtless it has struck on a rock and foundered. Now this rock it has met has been a long and narrow boat, manned by 6 or 8 men, who have surprised and plundered it some dark and stormy night, near some desert and gloomy island, as bandits plunder a carriage in the recesses of a forest. But, asked Franz, who lay wrapped in his cloak at the bottom of the boat, why do not those who have been plundered complain to the French, Sardinian, or Tuscan governments? Why? Said Gaetano with a smile. Yes, why? Because, in the first place, they transfer from the vessel to their own boat whatever they think worth taking. Then they bind the crew hand and foot. They attach to everyone's neck a 24-pound ball. A large hole is chopped in the vessel's bottom, and then they leave her. At the end of 10 minutes, the vessel begins to roll heavily and settle down. First one gunwale goes under, then the other. Then they lift and sink again, and both go under at once. All at once there's a noise like a cannon. That's the air blowing up the deck. Soon the water rushes out of the scupper holes like a whale spouting. The vessel gives a last groan, spins round, and disappears, forming a vast whirlpool in the sea, and then all is over. So that in 5 minutes nothing but the eye of God can see the vessel where she lies at the bottom of the sea. Do you understand now, said the captain, why no complaints are made to the government, and why the vessel never reaches port? Okay, if the captain is trying to lure Franz to the island of Monte Cristo, is he pressing a little too hard on his story here? Or is he actually trying to dissuade Franz from going? I don't think so. I think this is... I'm trying to think of a specific example, but I can picture some rich couple or rich characters going to the jungle, and they hire a Sherpa, and the Sherpa is telling them a kind of tall tale of goings on in the jungle as they are on their way to some, landmark or some exotic destination. While the tale itself might not be entirely false, it seems like it's the sort of thing that these guides will embellish or romanticize in order to give the people their money's worth. So he's really sinking the hook deep into Franz here. I think this feels like a put on, because if he was just a hired hand to drive the boat to Monte Cristo, or technically to Elba, it was the captain's idea to divert from Elba to Monte Cristo for games specifically. Yeah, I don't know. There's a minor mystery afoot here. I don't know what's happening exactly. I'm very unmoored this chapter. And maybe that's what Dumas wants in order to kind of reset the stage a bit for what's to come. We need a palate cleanser from, definitely from chapter 30, but from visiting Caderousse, from visiting Morel. Now we are 8 years in the future. Dante is well established with his money. How exactly, we don't know, except that the name of the chapter is Sinbad the Sailor. So what is this going to look like? Where is this leading us? I don't know exactly. But going back to the passage, there's this kind of dichotomy here that is strange, because the captain is telling Franz about the reality of pirates, right? He's basically saying, sometimes people just disappear. Don't ask too many questions. You want to know why people just don't complain to the government? Well, because they don't exist to ask questions. They don't exist to lodge complaints. Now, is he setting up this scenario for Franz to kind of be able to walk home with a story, as I said, to prove his manhood? Because if the captain were really afraid of pirates and such in this cove, would he really be traversing it? Would he be suggesting they go here? It does feel like something he's putting on for Franz's benefit. Or is Dumas using all of this to set a broader canvas of this being an area where things happen that aren't widely known to the outside world? If the captain is saying, yeah, pirates exist. They're here. People disappear. Ships disappear. Their fortunes disappear with them and go right into the ship hold of the pirates. We are going to an island where smugglers meet. Is he setting up a kind of clandestine environment in which Franz is going to be witness to something? As we've discussed in the last handful of chapters, Dumas is keeping Dante at a distance from us, the readers. So now, will he be using Franz as our catalyst? Us being able to live through Franz's perspective and experience to see Dante in a new light. Are we going to see Dante? Is Franz Dante? Is Captain Gaetano Dante? I don't know. I don't know what's up and what's down anymore. But it does feel like if you're clearing the table and you're bringing out the next meal, you have to kind of set expectations for what that's going to be. I'm sure there's a fancy French term for how you clear your palate before you have dessert or something. An aperitif, that's how you entice appetite, right? That's before meals. There's a metaphor in there somewhere that the more educated person can put together for what Dumas might be doing here. So let's continue with a little bit more of Chapter 31 tomorrow, right here. You know where to find me. Until then, okay, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.